Hello, Steve White, Steve Arts 89. Well, I'm back to talk about Creepshow, this time season 4. Um, Good. A couple of episodes had some issues, so, that'll be coming. Now, the first episode was, the first story of the first episode was called 20 Minutes with Cassandra. Um, Basically, there is a woman who's alone in a home. She's ordered a pizza, and this woman shows up on her door begging to be let in, and she's like, "Yeah, you're gonna die in 20 minutes." And there's a monster outside that's waiting to kill her, and it's her monster. But she has her own monster, so it becomes a very weird, surreal story. It starts off where you really think this woman is just a victim of this lady has no idea what's happening. Then you realise that they both have their own monsters, and they're both aware of this supernatural sort of thing that's happening. And it's a bit surreal and interesting. I liked it, but yeah. The second episode, Smile, is a little disturbing. Basically, it's about a photographer who's getting like an award for some war photography, where a particular picture he has of a father trying to save his son. They're drowning in a river, and basically he took the photo instead of saving the person. So the spirits of those people weren't particularly happy with his being awarded, and him exploiting their tragedy and so forth. And well, he has a child and a pool, and I think you can work out how the rest of that episode goes. And I didn't feel bad for him at all. The Hat is about a writer who wants to follow in the footsteps of his icon, somebody Bachman. I can't remember his first name. Not Richard Bachman, but I feel like it was a bit of a nod to Stephen King, because his pen name for a while was Richard Bachman. So this writer gives him a hat that used to belong to him, and basically he suddenly turns into this psychotic writer who can just write whole books in a day, and basically there's some sort of creature in the hat that is literally burrowing into his head and feeding directly into his brain. And eventually he realizes this, and he gets upset with the person who's that's selling the books. I can't remember, the editor or whatever. And she's like, "I asked you if were you willing to pay any price to do this?" So yeah, it was fun. Grieving process is the next one, where there's a wife and husband living together with one of the I think the sister of the wife, and there are some family issues, and then the wife gets bitten by a vampire, which I didn't realize was a vampire right away. And then the vampire girl comes to stay as well, and basically she ends up coming back from the hospital and hiding in the basement. And then the girl comes, and then the two of them end up just killing people, and the husband sort of just keeps feeding them, because what else is he going to do? It's his wife. So it's kind of a weird story. And I'm already lost in my notes. Oh, the Ghost Parents one, yeah. Parent Death Trap. That was funny, but it was a bit too much. It was a little bit kind of the worst part of American Werewolf in London was the ghost friend who was like talking to him the whole time. In this case, this guy is being demeaned by his parents the whole time. His rich parents, and he kills them. And unbeknownst to him, this girl that he liked, she killed her parents as well for the same reason. And they were involved in a Ponzi scheme, and there's issues with getting the money, and they end up getting together and getting married, and then she poisons him because she wants the money, and doesn't realize that he got no money from the parents and that. And then the parents, who are still there, intervene, and it's all played very much for comedy. The ghosts are basically just the people glowing blue and that, and it's kind of fun. It's pretty vicious, how brutal they are with the son and that. And it's a bit of a shock that the girl turns out to be a gold digger, because you don't see it coming. There's no hints, but yeah, it was interesting. Now then we go to the episode. It's basically about a vampire family, and it's like vampires are sort of a minority in America. They're sort of doing a little bit of a True Blood thing here, and it's interesting because the boy, of course, of our family falls for the girl who's a vampire, and of course, the father is like a vampire hater, and I don't need to tell you how that goes in the end. But yes, some justice is served. Um, then we have the episode Cheat Code. I'm not a computer game person. I've never played a computer game in my life. My dad didn't let me have one when I was a kid, because I think he just didn't want to get caught with a son addicted to computer games and having to pay for everything. But I never played them, never got into them, still don't play them. So I don't really get this episode. It's that sort of thing where you see where a game is involved in something and then people end up going into the game and having to survive the game. And I guess it's something that you would enjoy if you are into games, but I just started doing other things and not paying attention. Now the next one, oh my god, I can't even read my notes. This is not good. Oh, okay, yes. There's the Doodles episode, which is interesting. Basically, there's a girl who, she's trying to get into doing comics for a magazine, a famous magazine. And she discovers while auditioning, or trying to get the job, that what she draws in anger comes to life. So a woman who stole one of her pictures and then gets the job for it, she draws a picture of her dead, or draws over a picture of her dead, and then she dies and she gets the job. And then, it doesn't stop there, so I don't need to go into that. Something Borrowed, Something Blue, which is my writing I couldn't read before, was the story before this one. It was really interesting. It's basically had Tom Atkins in it, who of course we love Tom Atkins. He's legend. He plays the father of a estranged daughter who he lures back with a free wedding because her and her very cute Asian husband are broke as F, and they come back, and the twist is there's a demon in the basement, which is like a kraken or something at the core of the earth. Has to be fed every 15 years, and apparently he fed it with his wife and his daughter's mother 15 years ago, which is why they haven't been speaking. So he tells the husband, yeah, you have to feed the monster now. So he agrees to do it, and I'm like, no, don't be pressured, but he does it because I wanted this guy to be the good guy because he was cute. And then apparently the daughter knew about it the whole time because the husband had his own monster demon kraken thing in the basement somewhere, and they have to feed that every 15 years. So she knew the whole time, and they end up throwing the father in. But unfortunately, the first victim they threw in to the other hole, because there's two holes with demons apparently in the center of the earth, he apparently caught onto the side and clawed his way back out because he just wouldn't die because he's just that annoying. So then the episode doesn't quite go as they were planning. Now the last two episodes unfortunately didn't go so well. Now the second last episode is George Romero in 3D. It starts off really great. This guy finds that the bookstore he's working in, which is dying because it's not online, he runs with his mother, used to be the office of George Romero, and they find a bunch of comics that they wrote that were never published. He starts reading them. They've got 3D glasses. They come to life. The zombies appear in the bookstore and come to life, so they have to fight the zombies. And they have George A. Romero who comes to life. He's like a cartoon drawing. And it's really good for a while until the very, very end. And a lot of these stories do this, where they are so desperate to have a trick ending that they ruin the story. And this one is really bad. Basically, towards the end there's a fight, and the mother gets dragged out by zombies. And they just ignore it. I'm like, the mother has been dragged out by zombies. Is she being killed? What's happening? What the hell? What? And then the guy who was trying to evict them because they're not making any money from the store, the evil real estate agent, comes in, and the mother just jumps out of a aisle, grabs him and starts eating him, and the kid and his girlfriend, who worked in the store, just walk out like, yeah, you get what you deserve. And I'm like, what about the mother? What, does she just leave her in the store? Like, she's just going to go wandering in the streets killing people? Like, it just was totally unrealistic, just totally sold out the characters, any sense of that. It was really going well until that point. And you can see they just had to write a trick ending in, and they just tacked it on and totally ruined it. And then, unfortunately, the second episode, which is the last episode, second story of this episode, sort of has the same problem. I guess they were getting anxious towards the end of the series or something. But this one was called Baby Teeth. It's about a woman who's overprotective of her daughter, and she's having her baby teeth removed, and she's taking care of her afterwards. And the daughter's a total horrible person, and the mother has sort of turned her into a monster by babying her so much. A friend comes over, and she's complaining about her mother and that, and you find out that basically she's protecting her daughter from like these monsters. They're like little fairies or something. I can't remember what they called them in the episode now, but she ignores this, and one of them comes after her, and there's this really stupid moment where the daughter is lying on her back and this thing is coming after, and the mother has a pair of shears which are made out of iron or whatever that can kill this creature, and she just stands there while the creature grabs the daughter and throws some like barbed wire in her mouth or something and literally pulls her jaw off. And then like a minute later, the mother stabs it in the back, kills it, and it turns into a baby. And then she picks up the baby, and it's like now she's going to raise this baby to replace the one she just lost. But it really just the scene doesn't work, the scenario doesn't work, and it's all for the ending. And when you have an ending like that that undermines the rest of the story, it doesn't work. And unfortunately, the last two stories in the last episode is like that. And that's the only fault with this series. They do that a few times, and I blame Jordan Peele with how he ruined the movie he did. The Good One, where it was race horror, and he ruined it with this ridiculous science fiction explanation at the end. But yeah, overall the series was great. I loved it. Just a couple of stories, they ruined themselves trying too hard with a trick ending, shock ending. But up until then, they were great. And the series overall as a whole, and I think we're going to get a 5th season, so I can't wait for that.